Hi, and welcome to FPL First, giving you the latest news, reviews, and tips on everything EPL and FPL. Thanks for joining me in this episode of the EPL Round 6 review and FPL Round 6 review as well. And I'm going to obviously talk about how I'm looking now to do my wildcard very soon. So that's all coming up in this episode. So if you are new around here, thanks for stopping by. This channel provides loads of information on Fantasy Premier League, and also I talk about the EPL previews, reviews and points scoring, for example, during the week. Obviously, if you do like the content in this video, think about subscribing, and obviously if you do like this video, a massive thumbs up to help the channel. If you are returning to my channel, thanks very much for coming back, and I hope you enjoyed this EPL and FPL review. So before I get into the main talking points of this week, I just want to start by looking at the free transfers in from round 5. So if we look at the first person, it was obviously Eden Hazard. He was the number 1. Next was Fraser from Bournemouth. He was number 2 most transferred player in last week. And lastly, the most transferred player in was Tottenham's Lucas Moura. And if we have a look at their total points, 3 for Hazard, 2 for Fraser, 3 for Moura. So what does that mean? Fail, fail, fail. What a failing week for everyone that decided to put those players in. They had such good weeks last week, and this week they let everyone down. And me having Hazard in my team, obviously I missed out on a lot of points considering how many he's been getting in the previous weeks. So it just shows you how fickle that the FPL can be. You know, one week you can have a great score with certain players, and the week after it can be absolutely rubbish. So obviously that was very disappointing on my behalf with Hazard and all the thousands of people that put these 3 players into their team too. So moving on to the action, and there was only a couple of surprises in the EPL in the week just gone. So Burnley beating Bournemouth 4-0 wasn't a real big shock, especially considering Burnley's terrible form in the league so far, and the fact that Bournemouth just come from a really nice win at home. So, you know, this was, I expected a Bournemouth or at least a draw, but Burnley were absolutely dominant in this game, and Bournemouth just didn't look themselves. So, you know, that's why Fraser, for example, didn't get many points when he got 18 last week. And yeah, it was quite refreshing to see, you know, a change. It just shows you that the EPL anything can happen in the EPL, and anyone can beat anyone. The next surprise was, it wasn't such much a surprise, but the fact that Leicester comfortably won 3-1 against Huddersfield, and you know, they completely dominated the game. And a player I'm going to talk about later in Maddison, he seems to just keep performing, and I'm really looking to maybe get him in my team when I play my wildcard. Another surprise was Wolves getting a draw from Man United away from home. That was a great result for them. You know, Man United are off the back of a good win streak, and they've just been halted by Wolves. And yeah, so that was obviously good for me as an Arsenal fan. But you know, it was nice to see Wolves doing well, considering they've just got promoted back to the EPL. Spurs easily won, Man City easily won, Liverpool easily won, and on the weekend, Sunday, fixtures, again there was a massive surprise, and that was West Ham drawing 0-0 with Chelsea at home. And yes, they had the home advantage, but considering their recent form, yeah, it was a surprise. And considering that Chelsea were 5 unbeaten, they'd scored the most goals in the Premier League, it was a real big shock. But fair play to West Ham, they played really well. The middle 3 again performed this week like they did against Everton last week, and it was a deserved 1 point for them. It'll be interesting to see how Chelsea bounces back to this. Obviously, I presume a lot of people have Hazard now in their team instead of Salah, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes back and can prove all the people that put him in their team, you know, some sort of points during next week. And the last game involved Arsenal, who for 60 minutes of the game didn't look like they were going to win. It looked like Everton were on top and they were going to probably be the likely winners. And then it was just 5 minutes of genius from Lacazette and a really badly called offside goal, which actually turned out to stood for Aubameyang. So if you had Aubameyang in your team and as captain, which I think a couple of my viewers did, that means that you got a nice goal which shouldn't have been, so well done on that. So if we take a look at what in my opinion was the best game of the weekend, it was the Leicester against Huddersfield, where Huddersfield took a nice early lead, and then Leicester just then after that decided to basically control the game, and it was because of this guy on the left on your screen is one of the reasons that they controlled the game. If you just look at his heat map for the last game, it was just he was in such an attacking position a lot of the game, considering he's a centre midfield, and it just shows that he's such a threat for Leicester going forward. And you know, with someone like Vardy and his pace up front as well, obviously it gives him a lot of options to not go himself all the time. It was a lovely free kick by Maddison to get him another goal, 2 in 2 games now. And you know, even though he only got 8 points, it's not massive, but he's consistently getting points every game, so there is definitely a shout to put him in your team. You know, he's shooting and he's getting quite close to the box, and he's shooting not from too far. You know, that's the one concern I've got with Neves in my team right now. He's shooting from too far away. He's not really getting very close to the goal, so I think I'm going to be looking to get Maddison into my team instead of Neves. If we look at the stats of the game, yeah, it was a game that was dominated by Leicester, and they did very well in the end, and it was a well-deserved 3 points. But the main reason I've put this game here is because of Maddison. He was man of the match performance from him. He's looking really good. I'm looking forward to him being in the England team very soon, and I have high hopes for him. I hope he doesn't get a bad injury or anything like that, and hopefully he'll be, you know, knocking on the door for an England starting place, and also potentially going to a bigger team. Who knows? But for now, he's doing really well at Leicester, and I wish him all the best of luck. And if you haven't got him in your fantasy team, then you definitely probably should consider start putting him in your team. So the two bosses after the game, and they basically were contrasting opinions, obviously, because Leicester won comfortably, and Leicester's manager said that it was a bad start, and we have often had difficulties at the start of games. I would like to prevent this start, and we have to correct this situation. It is always difficult to find space and come back into games, but I am happy about our desire and our mentality. And the reason I've included this is because this goes back to players like Maddison, who are the kind of players that when they went down, they didn't put their heads down, they didn't stop playing, they kept on going, and they ended up getting the win because of the players like Maddison and Vardy, who have, you know, kind of come to the fore here in being crucial in this game. Obviously, I've got to mention Iheanacho as well. He did really well in this game. Obviously, Huddersfield manager Wagner, he was obviously disappointed with the game, saying that we made so many big mistakes in my point of view. We got the lead, but we gave them presence. We conceded 2 counter-attack goals against Leicester, and we didn't use our chances in the offensive side. And this seems to be a key theme going on with Huddersfield. They just can't seem to take their chances. They are getting chances, they're just not taking them. And this is obviously a problem that they need to try and correct in the near future. But it's a bit of a problem considering the budget they have. They're probably not going to be able to bring in a very good striker. So it looks like it's going to be a difficult season for Huddersfield. But overall, good win for Leicester, and I'm sure that Poel is definitely the happier manager of the two. So moving on to the top scorer of round 6 of the EPL and FPL this weekend, and surprisingly it was Matic of Liverpool. He hasn't actually been starting many games recently because Gomez and Van Dijk have been the centre-back pairing, but this game he got the nod ahead of Gomez, and he performed, and he got 15 points, and you know, 1 goal, clean sheet, 3 bonus points. There's not much more you could ask, and considering his price of 5.7 million, it's obviously a very good return for not a cheap defender, but definitely on the cheaper side compared to your Alonsos and your Robertsons, for example. He had 122 touches on the ball, so clearly he was playing to Klopp's kind of tactics of playing out from the back. And you know, considering he had an expected goals of 0.06, obviously as being a central defensive player in the centre back, you know, he did really well in this game, and he got the whole 90 minutes. Now it'll be interesting to see, does he start playing for Liverpool now? This performance would obviously mean he has a good shout for playing in the next game, but considering Gomez had been playing amazingly with Van Dijk before this, I'm not too sure what's going on there. So it's a great problem for Klopp to have, a headache of who to play at centre back. And you know, Matic is a good player. I'm not 100% convinced by him yet. I need to still see him in a couple more games. So anyway, it was really good for him. I'm glad that he's back, and he's come back with a bang in becoming the top scorer in the FPL this week. And it'll be interesting to see if he continues to keep his place and play in the FPL in the near future. He could therefore, if he does get game time, then he could be a good shout for your team, because he is playing in the Liverpool side that has kept many clean sheets already this season and are looking like the team to beat so far. So definitely a player to consider. Alright, this is a new thing I'm going to start doing in my reviews after EPL games is looking at the fixtures that are going to be upcoming after the rounds. So, for example, these top 4 teams seem to have the slightly easier games coming up in the next 4 game weeks. So what it means is that Bournemouth have clearly got the easiest 4 games, but the problem is seeing them against Burnley, a team which everyone expected them to beat. No one expected Burnley to win that game so comfortably, and this has made me a little bit more worried about Bournemouth and putting in, for example, Ryan Fraser or Wilson or someone like that. So this is definitely something to consider, that they have got an easy run, but considering that they got thrashed by Burnley on the weekend, you might want to reconsider if you're going to put in those players, especially if you've got another player that's still performing instead. So yeah, you need to watch out for that. Second team, Man United, got some easy fixtures coming up. Chelsea won't be obviously easy away from home, but the other 3 fixtures could see Lukaku and Pogba getting some more points. Considering their price tag though, I'm still not convinced about any of the Man United players. They're kind of too hit and miss recently, so yeah, I'm going to avoid any Man United players, but good luck to you if you pick them. Then you've got Leicester, whose only hardest game is against Arsenal, and that's away as well. Like the Emirates is a bit of a fortress for Arsenal, so going away from home, they're probably not going to get any points. But Newcastle away, Everton at home, and West Ham at home, they're all very likely to get points, and this is why I want to get Maddison into my team ASAP. Arsenal have a very nice fixture list. I mean, Watford at home will be difficult, and Crystal Palace away from home will be slightly difficult, but I think that this is quite a nice fixture list for them. And there's a shout now for Lacazette to be getting in your team. He's been pivotal since he's come into the team and playing striker with Aubameyang, playing kind of on the left position. So yeah, so there's definitely a shout for Lacazette to be in your team. However, he has got a slightly pricier tag, so if you've not got the money to put him in, then it will be a bit of a risk. Apart from Man City, Spurs have got a pretty easy next 3 games. So if you did put Mora in this week, even though he let you down and didn't get you many points, I would recommend sticking with him, because he has got Huddersfield away, which you guarantee they're going to lose and get a load of goals there, Spurs. Cardiff at home. Cardiff have not shown anything away from home this season, so that should be easy. And then West Ham, it was looking like an easy game, but that's probably going to be a difficult game now, because the last 2 games West Ham played really well, and then obviously Man City at home, that could be anyone's game. You don't really know what's going to happen in that game. So I'm not going to go through the rest of the teams. You can have a look on screen, they are there. But in my opinion, out of all of these teams, the easiest fixtures, in my opinion, do land with Arsenal. So that's me considering the fact that Bournemouth did stutter at the weekend, and so I would be kind of a bit worried about putting Bournemouth players in my team. So yeah, there are some options in Arsenal that you can put in your team, like Aubameyang, Lacazette. Cech is also doing well. He's clearly starting every game, and he is making a lot of saves because Arsenal are vulnerable in defence. So definitely a keeper that you could consider putting in your team too. Anyway, if you liked this new kind of sort of slide that I'm doing in my videos, please obviously give me a thumbs up. That really help let me know that you enjoyed it, and I will continue doing it. Alright, so now it's time to talk about my really disappointing game week. I didn't get many points, and yeah, this is the reason that I think tomorrow I'm going to be playing my wildcard. I'm going to be doing a live stream with doing my wildcard, so if you do want to join me for that, I would love to hear your comments on while I'm making selections of who to put into my team. I'm not entirely sure about the time, but I'm going to make an event after I've uploaded this video, and I will leave that on my page so you know exactly when that live stream is going to be. So yeah, this week I had Alisson in goal. He got a clean sheet, and that was all I could have asked for him, so he did well. Wan-Bissaka in defence got me another 9 points, which is lovely. Alonso got a clean sheet, but he didn't really have much attacking because Chelsea obviously had that 0-0 draw with West Ham. Bennett, I didn't really want him in my team, but I didn't have an option because Mendy got injured, and I haven't replaced Mendy yet. So he was in my team. Neves is letting me down a lot, and even though he had a really promising start to the season, he's done nothing since then, so I will be getting him out of my team, I think, when I do my wild card. Holebas, seems like the hype on Holebas is dying, and I kind of knew that because I did a couple of weeks ago predict that their fixtures were going to be very difficult, and yeah, I think that he's now not doing anything in my team, so I need to get those people out. Bennett, Neves and Holebas all need to be out of my team. Hazard, as I said at the start of the video, he let me down massively, and I'm not going to get rid of him or anything like that. That's stupid because, you know, he is going to get like another hat-trick or whatever in the next coming games. It's just, you know, he's got it in him, and he's definitely good enough, so I will be keeping him. Mkhitaryan, he was starting really nice for Arsenal, but since Lacazette is starting every game now, Mkhitaryan has been benched, and he is getting the odd minute at the end of the game, but he is not getting anything for me, so I definitely need to get him out ASAP. His price is also dropping a lot, which is not good for me. And Salah is an interesting one. He is still picking up points, but he actually lost 0.1 million of his price tag, so he's now worth 12.9. So I have lost that, and I'm a bit annoyed with that, and I think I'm blindly being a bit too faithful to him. He isn't giving me the kind of points that I want. I know he scored on the weekend, but yeah, he just hasn't, for his price tag, he doesn't seem to be performing, and I think that I'm going to probably put Mane in instead. I haven't made my mind up completely, but I will be doing that tomorrow. So obviously, if you want to see me do that, give me any advice in the comments, I would really appreciate that. And up front, Aguero, I had as my captain once again. Luckily, I didn't go with Hazard as my captain, and he got me an alright amount of points considering he scored. And then Joselu, a player I need to get out of my team. He was kind of just making up the numbers originally, but because I've got a couple of injuries, he got forced into my team again this week and only got me 1 point. So yeah, disappointing week for me, to be honest. My rank has dropped quite significantly, unfortunately. So I need to probably play my wildcard and sort my team out. So yeah. So I already kind of made a potential wildcard team that I'm thinking about. This is just a very quick sort of thinking. I didn't take a lot of consideration into these players and why I picked them. So I'm going to be doing a really in-depth, thorough analysis tomorrow. But this is just a quick look at what I potentially might be having. So if you have any thoughts and you want to put them in the comments below, please obviously leave a comment and let me know what you think of this kind of draft wildcard team that I'm thinking about making. Obviously, I will be doing this tomorrow in the live stream, so please check that out if you have time. And if you've liked this video, obviously a massive thumbs up to help the channel and let me know that you've enjoyed it, and I'll continue obviously doing videos. And if this is your first time and you've enjoyed this video and you've watched till now, thanks very much, and obviously consider subscribing and clicking the alert button so that you get notifications of when I upload in the future. And if this is not your first time, thanks very much for coming back for another episode of FPL First. And my name is Joe, so thanks very much for watching.